Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Unidentified American patriot. Love the shirt. Please like, share, and subscribe. YouTube is playing around again with my subscriber count. Gotta love that. Anywho, if you get anything from my work, I connect the dot, an epiphany, a mind-blowing moment, a new book to read, a new author to explore. Please consider supporting my work, and all the links are at the video below the video. New book alert, starting a new book today. So when I finish the Why Are We Here, I'm going to go on to another Curtis book that's smaller. This is a biggie. Big. The Message of Aquaria, the significance and mission of the Aquarian age. Aquarius. Aquarius. We don't know when that actual Aquarian age is at the moment, because it's like on the zodiacal cusp of shifting. And that I've seen from a couple of people talking about this quite interesting topic. But I wanted to start with this book. It's quite lengthy, and I think it's about time. Upstairs kind of is guiding my book reading, and I think this is next on the topic. So we're going to start with the preface, and then I'll do 2 chapters and see what this goodie is all about. I have an idea, but with them, I never know what direction they're going in. And although I have the book, I'm going to read it off my PDF. Fun times. Quote, "But the Comforter, which is the Holy Ghost, whom the Father will send in my name, shall teach you all things and bring all things to your remembrance, whatsoever I have said unto you." And quote St. John. I say that all the time. It's remembering. Truth is eternal and everlasting, that which was, is, and forever shall be, manifest variously as it may. One of the mightiest of truths is the mystical meaning of that which is incalculated in the universal teaching as the Divine Mother. In every age, in many languages and religions, under many names and symbols, does the loving mother speak to her children. In ancient Egypt, as Isis, the feminine aspect of the Godhead, the productive principle, the bringer forth both in nature and in manifestation. Of her children as Horus. And the age of the Divine Mother was depicted as gathering together and restoring to oneness, but burying, making esoteric. The served members of the body of Osiris, the Egyptian term for the great creative aspect of the Godhead, which manifests to the cosmos as the cosmic cause, to our universe as the sun, and to humanity as God, the Father of all, or the united body of universal truth given to all mankind, the grand plan of manifestation and redemption. This body has indeed been broken in many pieces by mankind throughout the ages, and only the understanding of love and Divine Mother can gather the pieces together and reveal them as one, the eternal living body of truth. JQ left a chair here. I don't like using this thing. I left trying to feed my outdoor kitty that I now have acquired, a cute guy. I keep getting these stupid flies. And even with the fly catcher outside and got a tennis match, so I don't need an army of them in here. Be gone, demons. Anywho. I don't know why that Mac camera thingy does that. Back to the book. In Jerusalem, the son of the Divine Mother for the Piscean age, in bidding farewell to all his faithful followers, tells them that the Divine Mother shall remain with them even unto the end of the dispensation as the Holy Ghost, the Comforter, to teach them all things and bring things to their remembrance. For the esoteric truth has always remained with the faithful, although hidden under exoteric creeds and dogmas. But the age has now dawned when that which was hidden shall be revealed, and this buried body must be uncovered and restored to life and manifest exoterically in the hearts and lives of mankind. This is but another call of the ingathering of all who love the Father, Mother, God, that there will be one universal sheepfold and one shepherd. As a new Aquarian age, as long foretold, dawns for humanity, the outbreathing of the Holy Ghost, the Comforter, again speaks, and in no uncertain tones to all children who recognize her, and proclaims to them, "Behold, it is I, be not afraid." At the ushering in of the Aquarian age, she comes under the name of Aquaria. And true to promise of Jesus, she brings to our remembrance all that he was told, all that he has told us concerning the new dispensation, when there shall appear the sign of the Son of Man, the Aquarius, in heaven. Lest any there be of her children who fail to recognize her as the Divine Mother, or who fail to see the signs and wonders brought forth by the outpouring of her divine love. As the gates of the new age swing open, these lessons, which have been given through those who know whence they come, are set forth to all her children for their comfort and instruction, and to announce the reappearance and prepare for the recognition and welcome of her Son. Christ consciousness. May the followers of the universal truth in every land and claim gather together at her knee, feel the warmth of her mother love and protection of her arms around them, and listen receptively and understanding to her monumentous words, knowing that there'll be no new words, nor only cunningly contrived conceptions of the mind of man, but age-old universal truths reiterated again and again in every age, in language suited to the time and the people to whom they are given, and now again brought the remembrance of all who through love can recognize their truth and who are ready to respond to her call. Thus does the message of Aquaria naturally follow the voice of Isis. They dedicate a portion of this book to Blavatsky, the authors. That was written 1921. Keep that in mind, folks. 1921. Message of Aquaria, Chapter 1, The Mystic Life. This next quote is huge. Quote, "Your life is hid with Christ in God, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Christ is all and in all." Colossians 3:3 and 11. O thou divine reality, thou who fillest all heavens and all earths, thou only art God, thou only art one in all blessedness, glory, and honor forevermore. Teachings of the Order. After the days of horror through which the people of the earth have been and still are passing, there is already arising from out the stricken nations and also from those orders who have sickened at the sight an insistent cry for new ideals of life. The old conceptions have been weighed in the balance and found laminately waiting. Hence, the eyes of millions are looking for something new, perhaps for signs and wonders that will give them some vital ideal, some new conception of life to guide them during the new dispensation now dawning. The mere repetition of the old orthodox concepts can no longer satisfy. A hell after death can no longer appeal after their mortal eyes have seen a hell on earth. No mere promise of a negative heaven of supine and insipid bliss can inspire or comfort after the deeds of heroism and self-sacrifice they have beheld in the days of carnage. The cry already goes up for a new heaven and new earth, in which righteousness shall dwell, omitting all reference to hell. I'm in love with this book already. What? Again, written in 1921. And what's happening now? One aspect of the divine law is that there can be no longing for the ideal born in human heart that is not a reflection of divine reality, which the soul dimly senses as a truth. Hence, there cannot be a soul cry or a sincere demand for righteousness. Sorry. I almost had him. Almost this close. Peace and harmony that will not bring its own fulfillment in due season. Perhaps this universal demand, which the horrors of recent years have created, is the next step in the spiritual unfoldment of the race. Therefore, those who know where to seek for answer must be up and doing, ready to spread the glad message of cheer and comfort that is found in a realization of the mystic life. But to convince others, we must first prove by experience and expression in our own lives that living the mystic life is a practical possibility. For the majority think that mysticism and practicability are like the opposite ends of a magnet, while in reality they form the central point where both blend. We must prove to the world that the mystic life does bring to the heart and into the life of every devoted follower a new heaven in which dwelleth righteousness, the righteousness of inspiring ideals, noble deeds, great sacrifices, and love for earth's children, giving him the ability to share this righteousness with others, thus creating new earth conditions for all who enter into this new realization. In past ages, mankind sought retirement from the world in an effort to create the new heaven within himself. But the modern mystic realizes that to be a practical, he must seek his heaven in the very midst of the turmoil of life, wherever the great law has placed him, and bring it forth, not only within himself, but within his environment, so others may benefit by it. This is the ideal manifestation of the mystic life. All manifestation comes from the unseen. Everywhere we see the inner molding the outer. The plan in the mind of the architect determines the size and form of the building. Our ideas, as they seek expression, determine our words and acts. The ambition of a selfish monarch plunge the world into war, while the ideals of freedom, right, and justice inspire millions unselfishly to sacrifice their lives to counteract the result of the selfish ambition. So must the ideals of the mystic life be spread until they inspire millions to manifest peace, love, brotherhood, cooperation, and harmony within themselves, or those qualities can manifest among nations. For as our enlightenment increases, so does our responsibility for local and world conditions. The causes, realities, are always mystic and unseen. The objective form is but the manifested aspect of the cause. That which is manifested in the outer world is but the outer husk, the vehicle through which some inner form of one life is seeking expression in this world of matter. One of the most fundamental and obvious characteristics of the manifested universe is its sentience. Everywhere from the amoeba to the solar system, we see both the evidence and results of a directing consciousness, which organizes, controls, and directs the activities of the various manifestations towards specific ends. In fact, the physical form limits the expression, for every form of life is far greater than it is able to manifest through its physical vehicle. The cause back of the acorn is far greater than the acorn or even the tree into which the life force, in its desire for expression, forces the acorn to expand. The seed contains the potential tree, but its source is hid in mystery. In fact, all life is manifestation of the divine life or cosmic Christ, force seeking expression that it may complete the cycle of its ongoing and return to its source. It is this inner pressure for an ever greater and more perfect expression that is the cause back of evolution. Mic drop. As we see the mystic life expressing itself in nature according to the law of growth, so it is with man. The mystic life is the life of causes, the inner or real life, the life of the soul, that life whose will to express results in the best outer manifestation the soul has learned through experience in matter to produce each incarnation, being a step toward the goal of perfect expression. Our mystic life is the life of our higher self, the real man, the life we live in the higher realms, our life in our Father's home. Hence the discouragement, loneliness, even disgust for the outer life we are living, which sweeps over us at times, for we realize how far short we fall from the living our real life and manifesting our real self. It is the source of all our life, even the physical life. For if we do not renew our life by returning to bathe in its source every few hours through deep sleep, our physical body becomes exhausted and dies, no matter how much food, water, sun, and air it may receive. If we need to leave the outer world behind and cease to react to its stimuli and seek the inner life for the sake of bodily health, how much more should we seek it through meditation and devotion for our moral and spiritual health? We have an outer shell of a life in the world as a casual acquaintances known us, and as history might record of us. Then we have more inner life, such as our family and close friends know. And finally, we have the inner real or mystic life of the soul, known only to the Father, but which is our duty to recognize and correlate with or truly live on earth, even as it is done in heaven. This is the life of the soul, which is striving to guide and train us to follow its direction until all our outer activities are but an undistorted expression of the real self. The majority of this inner mystic life has not yet been recognized, nor has it been found a direct channel for expression. Hence, their soul life is but an overshadowing influence which tries as best it can to inspire and guide the outer personality towards harmonious and constructive ends. At this stage of spiritual unfoldment, the majority dwell in the outer senses and the vibrations of and reactions to the outer world, the urge for satisfaction, which can ultimately be quenched only through union with the higher self. The majority endeavor to satisfy through sensation, excitement, and the struggle for attainment of outer things. They make the acquisition of money their standard and aim in life, money and ever more money, even when they have sufficient for the normal needs of life. They desire more comforts, even luxuries, when they already have ample for a simple, happy life. They spend their spare time in a rush for pleasure, seeking through sensation to drown the persistent craving for peace, love, and harmony. Peace, however, is not the result of a certain outer circumstance, but is an inner state of consciousness. The tranquility they seek can be found only within, by quieting the outer vibrations of the body and mind and responding to the peace that passeth understanding, which is theirs for the seeking. All this struggle and striving, however, is but the result of the inner mystic life, pushing outward and fuller expression, so that in the earlier stages of the unfolding inner consciousness, the rushing from one outer condition to another, or from one teacher to another, is but the natural result when the personality fails to listen to the inner guidance. And it is this blind responding to the stimuli of outer conditions, which is the cause of most suffering. For without a recognition of the inner guidance, man cannot know or follow the law of harmony, except as he learns it laboriously and painfully through experience. Therefore, those who will not listen must be left to learn through experience. Doesn't that just sum up and answer why many of us are already awake, aware, past this initiation stage, but the vast majority of people that we're like, wake up, right? Like, wake up. I just want to shake them up in love, but like, get it already. Why are we going through all of this? Because unless people experience this hell that we all have to suffer through, even though we're awake, they're not going to know or understand it. And I could say the same thing for having rheumatoid arthritis. Like, most people stereotype this as an old person's disease, or you get it on the later stages of life. It's over 21 years for me now that I've been diagnosed with it. And I struggled in the beginning because most people didn't understand. I look fine on the outside, but on the inside, my body is was screaming. Still does sometimes. But no one grasps, you look fine. Like, what's the matter with you? I can't function. And years later, some accident or something happens, they need surgery, or they start hurting. Did they apologize to me and be like, well, I'm really sorry. I didn't understand what you were going through. I had my own bout of this BS. And now I understand where you were coming from. And I'm really sorry I treated you like shit. Well, a little too late, buddy, but thanks. Here we are, same scenario. I'm going to get this fly. I promise. It's distracting. I didn't get him. All the struggle and striving, however, is but the result of the inner mystic life pushing outward for fuller expression. So that in the earlier stages of the unfolding inner consciousness, the rushing from one outer condition to another or from one teacher to another is but the natural result when the personality fails to listen to the inner guidance and is the blind responding to the stimuli of outer conditions, which is the cause of most suffering. For without a recognition of the inner guidance, man cannot know or follow the law of harmony except as he learns it laboriously and painfully through experience. Therefore, those who will not listen must be left to learn through experience. Since the inner urge of the mystic life keeps us striving for the expression in one way or another, this chapter is an effort to explain to those who are ready to listen just what they are more or less blindly striving for and how they can obtain it. For both the end and the means to its obtainment should be known if we are to work effectively and efficiently. The majority are like a butterfly that fell into a pond. It struggled tremendously to get out of the abnormal conditions in which it found itself, and it made excellent progress. But being ignorant of the direction of its goal, it was swimming away from the shore. Just so the majority of mankind are ignorant both of their source and the goal they are destined to obtain. Hence, all their misdirected striving but exhausts them and takes them further from their desired attainment or discourages them until they often say, I cannot believe in any one or anything. Ignorance of the higher self and of our final destiny is therefore one of the greatest obstacles to spiritual unfoldment. But this should not be true of those who have been attracted to the teachings of this order by more than passing curiosity, those who sincerely desire to obtain peace, harmony, and true satisfaction. For as we have said elsewhere, the only true satisfaction is the response we feel to the force poured out through some form of union with the divine. The only real satisfaction is experience and thrill of oneness that comes when a ray from the divine within us finds expression and manifestation on any plane, physical or mental or spiritual, from the thrill that results from an unselfish deed, a kind word, or a generous forgiveness, to the ecstasy of conscious union with the higher self in the highest initiation. Some scientists attempt to define life merely as a series of reactions to various stimuli, causes. This is true to a limited extent, and to that same extent, it is as true mentally, morally, and spiritually as it is physically. But the great point to remember is that it lies with us to determine which stimuli we will react to, the outer or the inner. If the finger touches a glowing coal, it is quickly snatched away. If something threatens the eye, the lids are instantly closed. These reactions to stimuli from without are carried out by the subconscious mind, long before we have time to think about what has taken place. The reaction is not mental, but instinctive. We feel hunger and cold, and we naturally seek food and shelter. Here, a mental reaction is involved in seeking to satisfy these stimuli for the welfare of the body. We hear a statement with which we do not agree, and our uncomfortable and uncontrollable minds reacts with an argument, a dispute, or perhaps a blow. A criticism that slights our pride, dignity, or self-esteem may cause our uncontrolled emotions to react in anger. Yet we may listen to so-called spiritual teachings at variance, both with common sense and also with those teachings which we have accepted and made our own. And although the inner self sends out strong impressions that such teaching are not true, we may fail to listen or respond to the inner self and unthinkingly say, are they not beautiful? Especially if they be given by some impressive personality. In such cases, we are reacting almost blindly, as does the body from the hot coal or the danger in the eye. But we have an inner and higher self to whose stimuli we should learn to react just as readily as we now react to the outer. And the aspirant who desires to unfold his real or spiritual nature more rapidly than those who drift through incarnation after incarnation with the slow tide of an evolution gained only through suffering, must rise above the animal plan of instinct by the powers of the currents of the mystic life. For there are currents of power which the mystic can call to his aid, nature's finer forces, which are just as real and just as vital as are the invisible currents of air, the currents of magnetism, electricity, etc., in our outer life. We must begin consciously to control his mental and spiritual reactions, so the real self shall enable him to respond with calmness, patience, love, and wisdom, instead of allowing the response to be determined by the little vanities and prejudices of the personality. That, my friends, is what a lot of people are working on as a collective right now, is your responses. Read the Kabbalion. I have that on my channel. Listen to it. It tells you how to kumbaya and come to neutrality. So, very, very important there to point out. As the effort is seriously made to let the mystic life manifest and control our reactions, we find that in that it requires more than an intellectual recognition of its desirability. We cannot accomplish it through the strength of the personality alone. We must seek and rely upon the power of the Christ within. Many, many weary souls see the illusions of the outer life, the vanities, the temptations, the shams, the camouflage, all the long list of instinctive reactions, and crave the real satisfying inner life of tranquility, content, and peace in activity, that they have not the strength to resist and overcome the habits of reaction form before their awakening in the mystic life. Many desire initiation into the mysteries, but no soul ever passes the great initiation in his outer consciousness until he has first found the mysteries within himself, until he has learned to withdraw his consciousness from reacting to the outer happenings of life and learned to live in close and intimate contact with the mystic life in that inner chamber of the soul, where the Christ stands with outstretched arms before the altar of the Most High, from which flow the hidden streams of life, crying, "Come unto me and rest in peace." Here in this inner shrine must we seek for the power of the Christ that shall enable us to manifest the mystic life. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut the door, shut out all vibrations of the outer life. Pray to the Father, which is in secret the higher self, and thy Father, which seeth in secret our inner motives, shall reward thee openly. That is to say, he will enable us to manifest our inner ideals openly in our outer life. And this is the only reward the true mystic should expect, and the greatest boon that could be given to him. Manifesting the mystic life in our outer conditions means a spiritual growth, and all growth and expression involves change. The physical body changes with the growth of the cells within, just so the outer life must change as the new spiritual ideals, cells, are built in our spiritual life. But if the tender sprout clings to the old husk, which it has outgrown, or endeavors to carry the husk along with it, the sprouts suffer and its growth is hampered or perhaps distorted. Just so do we suffer when we cling to or continue to depend upon old ideas, outer conditions, physical things, or personalities, when the great tide of the mystic life is sweeping us on into new conditions, into new fields of expression, where new lessons and opportunities for uselessness awaits us. The more we resist the inner current of the mystic life, the more we suffer, until the great law is forced to tear from our bleeding hands the things which retard our unfoldment and which we should have gladly let go long before. Therefore, if we would live the mystic life, we must not cling to tradition, to old forms and dogmas, to old habits of life or thought, not even to old family or friend ties, if they hinder the unfoldment of the inner life. For while we must ever do our daily duty and strive to live in peace and harmony with those souls with whom we find ourselves associated, yet often there comes a time when our association brings to them in harmony and moreover calls down abuse and misunderstanding on us and our chosen religion or ideals. Hence it is but helping to push them further and farther away and delay their following of the still small voice which is continually calling to us all, come unto me. If we remain on intimate terms with such persons and refuse to follow our urge to make a change, for the mystic life is ever in advance in understanding and expression, and it must have room to grow unhampered by things and conditions which our soul has outgrown. One mistake, however, which many make who start out to live the mystic life, is in thinking that they must carry nothing of their old life with them. They feel that the whole past life must be disowned and cast into the fires of sacrifice. This is wrong, a wrong concept. For often, what seems at first sight to be but faults and failings only need readjusting to become strong factors in a new life. If we try to leave behind old joy, laughter, and companionableness, or all association with friends, we are leaving out of life one of the greatest blessings and giving to the new life only the dredge of the old within the wine. If we have laid a gay, thoughtless life, we must not kill out the joy, but prove our sincerity and the reality of the new step by finding a greater and more satisfying joy and pleasure in helping to make glad this saddened world. And so with many other qualities which now hold us back because misapplied or misdirected, also in establishing our new life, we must realize that we have outgrown many things. Just as in moving into a new house, we find many things in the old house that are not worth moving, yet which have served a useful purpose in the old life. We wisely decide to leave them behind, and yet we do not condemn them, crude and imperfect as they may be. Let this be the attitude of mind which we prepare to step over the threshold of our old life in the world and enter the new manifestation of the mystic life. Leave behind that which is outgrown, but give thanks to the service it gave for the lessons it taught. When we are through with the sorrows of war, the cataclysmic changes of the earth's surface, and the disasters which may be expected to descend upon humanity, we will begin to realize that there is another and deeper world of consciousness, whose changes, although marked and defined, are nevertheless quite a different character. And in this inner world into which our consciousness has been born, which is destined to manifest in the new era of the world, as it never did before, throwing all the happenings of the outer world into their proper perspective. Hence we may expect that long as men mark time, they will sweep over the consciousness of all who are awakened, waiting, eager, and ready to receive it, an outpouring of the graciousness of the love of God toward man. This may not be noticeable at once in the outer world, for there will be and still be many inharmonious conditions to face, but it will occur not only in the inner lives of the individuals, but also in the inner mystical lives of the nations. Therefore, all of us who have begun to feel the new life surging through us and desire earnestly to break through the hampering bonds of misconception that separate us from our brother man, must awaken and pray without ceasing, that we all may light within our hearts the lamp of truth and wisdom, and be ready to go forth and shed our light within our own environment. This order, with its all-inclusive cosmic philosophy, its devotional exercises, and its personal help for each student, is especially prepared to gather in from the highways and byways of all who will listen to the call and feed their hungry hearts with the bread of life, and quench their thirst with the waters of life, of which those who eat and drink shall hunger and thirst no more. The secret of the mystic life is a realization that the Christ fills us whether his power is recognized and utilized or not. That sleeping or waking in meditation or when engaging in daily tasks, his divine presence is always with us, close to our hearts, consciousness, like a loving companion to whom we call and can turn at any time, and whose love is always the greatest reality in life. This is what is meant by being hid with Christ in God. The Christ has become flesh in us, even as it did in Jesus. This did not mean that we will never again make a mistake, think a wrong thought, or lose our temper. But it does mean that when these things occur, our reaction will be at once to fly to our loving Christ for strength, to overcome and transmute such feelings, and by his love and counsel grow stronger for the experience, just as we love more deeply one whom he have wronged or hurt, yet who has forgiven us. How important it is then to learn the path of the little door of the inner shrine within which the Christ dwelleth, to understand its power and learn whence it cometh and whither it is bearing us. For in this sacred shrine of the mystic life, we find the great Hierophant who gives us the last word, who shall touch our foreheads, that the eye of the Spirit may open. His touch is upon our hearts that makes us feel the great waves of love and the compassion which encompass the world, yet which have their ebb and flow within our own hearts. It is here that we drink of the chalice of the Holy Grail, and here it is that Christ turns the water of life into the wine of the Spirit. Let us strive, then, each one of us to live close to the realities, learn how to open the little door of the heart, watch for the light that streams from it, even now opened but a crack. Let our thoughts recur constantly to the mystic life until they wear deep channels through which it can flow to us. As we kneel in meditation before the heart of divine love, rest assured that we will never find that little door barred or locked, but ever waiting to open to our knock. And when we have entered, they will find the Christ, the lover and comforter of our souls, ready to wipe away all tears and fill our hearts, be they ever so sad, with comfort, love, and joy. For his love is not of this world, neither can the world take it from us, nor bar our way to its shrine. Determine, therefore, that each day our soul shall enter the sacred crypt and kneel before the altar of, and be bathed in the stream of the mystic life as our body is during sleep. Then someday, when we shall least expect it, we will see the shrine illumined by the divine presence, and he will place his mark upon our foreheads and give us the true initiation into the mysteries which the manifestation of the mystic life has prepared us to enter. Wow. And that's just chapter 1. And that's so true what's happening here in this consciousness today. And this is something that, again, I'm going to do my spiritual soul advice. I keep pushing it off because it's not ready yet. Divine timing. But just know you got to resonate with what information you get, no matter what it is. If you're not seeking the Christ within yourself, the Christos, the God spark, you're not talking to your higher self. You're just hanging on people's words. Because I find it really funny how I bring a lot of different books to people, but they only listen to the ones that another person says, because they're held at a higher esteem. And it's really interesting how I'm like, here's some biblical stuff. There's like Bible stuff in here. You might be interested in it. And it's like Silence of the Lambs. But when someone says the same thing, oh, I got to read it. And I'm like, but I already did that. But if you would have listened to me in the first place, no, I don't want to be famous, and I'm not here to be that person. But why didn't you take my words as credence? Or did you not go within? You had to wait for someone else to tell you so. We're at this crux right now. If you're not going within yourself and you're not discerning information that's coming from your outer world, and you're not going within and like, does this make sense? Is this realistic? All the why questions, then we're going to sit at this crux. We're going to sit at this cliff for a very long time, because there's only a small amount of people right now going within and discerning their information. When they're seeing stuff on TikTok, when they're seeing stuff on BitChute, when they're seeing stuff on other platforms, and they're like, oh my God, this person said it, it must be true. Oh my God, this. I see this all the time. Are you going within? Or are you holding that person on a podium? Because, you know, we're supposed to idolatrize people, right? That's what's happening. We're holding people on high esteem. Are you going within yourself to know if that's true for yourself? Again, this world is metaphysical. Your perception is different from mine. That person's perception is different from mine. That is different from mine. We can all find common ground in the same topics and subjects, but are you going within? Are you allowing someone to dictate to you how to feel? We already seen that, been there, done that with MSM. We've been there where everybody's listening. So I'm sorry, there's a second chapter and I'm going to get to it, but there's the Cartier family, and I watched their response videos, and I'm very intrigued because they used to do just music responses, and now they're getting very political. And and they're a bunch of boys, and they're like, you know, Twitter really made me think one way. And they're like, yeah, I didn't really research it. I just based my ideology off of what was being said on Twitter. Now we're talking about young, impressionable youth. They're probably college age or just got out of college or is still in college. And they're telling us, like, yeah, now I'm finally like seeing the light. I'm listening to both sides. I don't agree with either one, but I'm having more of an open mind and I'm making my own critical thinking happen. It's beautiful to watch this unfoldment happen with you know, a few boys in a room doing music reviews. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the light is shining. And they're tackling race stuff, which I think is very much needed. Like, finally, right? They told us, they said it, that they were watching and following certain people and certain trends on the X, and that they were just not doing their own research, and they didn't know if it sounded great. It sounded good. It sounded too great to believe in, and we're just going to march along with that theme, whatever it is. What? You know, and those people that watch GQ, the same thing happens, right? is phenomenal. I love my best friend. But like with a waspy, he's saying to read this as if it's like the all end all be all, right? But it's an Anunnaki book. It's a Jehovah's Anunnaki transcribed historical book. And everybody's like, oh my God, I have to read it. Yeah, you should read it. No one's saying not to read it or listen to me. But understand, he doesn't even, I brought it to his attention. I'm like, do you understand what that is? You maybe clean up your words a little bit. I love you to death. And you're freaking genius. But at the same time, what the what? That, so I'm saying this to say, you gotta go within yourself. And here's another book to tell you. If you don't want to trust me, trust what they're saying, because they have yet to be wrong in any of the books I've read. I've read a lot now. They have not been wrong. And again, they're writing from the late 1800s, early 1900s. This is 1921. They haven't been wrong. And they're literally, the words feel like it's now that they're talking about it. So please, those of you who do watch me and do enjoy these books, please go in and do the inner work. Take what I'm saying. You might not resonate with a lot of this. I do. You might not. And that's beautiful, because you're going inside and you're doing critical thinking. That's all I want you to do, because we need to all remember and start awakening. We're at this pivotal point right now. Things are happening, and they've been happening. Don't get me wrong. Things have been happening in the last 4 to 5 years, and we're all sitting and tick-tocking away. But what does this say? What does the last chapter say? You have to create it for yourself. You have to bring it out into your community. And unfortunately, we can't just be loud. I mean, I can be loud and proud wearing this shirt in public. I did today. I had my coffee maker decided, no, I'm not working. You're not having coffee today. I went to the store and had to get myself a coffee maker. But I wore this loud and proud, and people were looking at it. And I'm thankfully, I'm living in a part of the world that there's a majority of people that are patriots. I went to a fair in like another county over, a really nice like church fair. They had rides for the kids, and they had food, and they had like a whole gambling section for the adults. It was really nice. And we're, you know, me and Dina were sitting at a table, just like, you know, analyzing everybody. And you can tell, you could see the patriotism because of how many people were wearing shirts with American flags on it, or with some genius saying on their shirts. There's a lot more patriots than we want to expect. I mean, but people are being loud and proud about it. Now we have to take the next step forward. What can you do in your community to flip it? But do it in such a maniacal way that the people who are won't know that you have like, or your, you know, your perceptions of the world are different from theirs, but you're still helping them. We got to be ninjas here. Anywho, we'll start on chapter 2, the sign of Aquarius. Quote, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all tribes of earth mourn, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall together his elect from the 4 winds, from one end of heaven to the other. St. Matthew. I don't believe those trumpets are good, FYI. That's just my perception. As we enter into the great Aquarian cycle, in spite of the confusion and unrest, which the adjusting and closing of the old Piscean and its overlapping on the next brings to all nations, we cannot help feeling the mighty stirring of a new and greater day, which all classes of mankind are sensing more or less clearly and seeking to understand and define. We say in a general way that this is the Aquarian age, but having said it, few besides special students are much further enlightened. We therefore wish to point out in this message of Aquaria the significance of some of the more important phases of the sign Aquarius and the age. As we have said elsewhere, as the Earth in its yearly journey around the sun passes through a sign of the zodiac each month, so does our solar system during its great journey around the central sun of this universe, Alcyone. Pass through each sign of the zodiac, but in this greater cycle, instead of a month, our solar system requires approximately 1,160 years to traverse each sign. This period is called a day or an age. Thus, we have had the Taurian age, when the vernal equinox of the sun appeared in the sign of Taurus at the close of what occurred, the exodus of the Hebrews from Egypt, and during which the bull or calf was the object of worship and was represented with the golden disk of the sun between its horns. The Aryan age, during which the ram was worshipped as a symbol of the sun god, the Piscean age, whose symbol of the fish was the symbol of its great teacher, Jesus, the disciples of whom were all represented as fishermen and called fishers of men. And our solar system has recently entered the sign Aquarius, or the sign of the son of man in heaven, referred to in the New Testament as the time of the new dispensation or age. The Bible, the sign of the Aquarius, is called the sign of the Son of Man, and in astrology, the water bearer, and is represented by a man emptying a water pot. The sign of Aquarius is the 11th sign of the zodiac, and Kabbalistically, its numerical value is also 11, as is explained fully under the number. 11 symbolizes the first step in a new cycle, a new condition or undertaking. And as the Aquarian age dawns our earth and its humanity is preparing to take a new step to enter into a new cosmic field, gain new experiences, and outline the great discoveries to be brought forth in the generations to come. Aquarius is an airy, emotional sign and marks the middle of the winter season, January 20th to February 19th. As the winter season is the middle of the darkest period of the year, yet is also the prelude to the springtime, so will the first step into the new age mark the middle of the darkest period for humanity and the prelude to the joy and beauty of the new cycle, which it ushers in. In itself, the cycle of Aquarian age will mark by its 4 seasons, just as the cycle of a year. Aquarius is now one of the fixed signs and occupies the upper right hand or dominating point of the fixed cross. Composed of the 4 signs, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio, which is earlier ages, form the cardinal cross. From an occult and mystical standpoint, this fixed cross is of the greatest importance and is called the foundation of the universe, the 4 corners of earth, the 4 winds, and the 4 breaths. In fact, not only are the signs at the ends of the cross looked upon by astrologers, occultists, and mystics as of great importance, but we find many allusions to them in the Bible. For instance, the wheels of Ezekiel are none other than these signs in motion. He describes them as coming out of a cloud as follows, quote, "Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. As for the likeness of their faces, the 4 had the face of man, and the face of a lion, the face of an ox, the face of an eagle." End quote. Yet they were all blended into the express through the likeness of a man, hence Aquarius, the man. must synthesize these forces. The same figures are also described by John in Revelation. Again, when Ezekiel describes his vision of the valley of dry bones, which he was to endow with life, he exclaims, quote, "Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain that they may live," end quote. The four winds or divine breath are the four aspects of the divine life spirit manifesting through these four signs. And when they are focused upon humanity, even though humanity spiritually be but a valley of dry bones, the dry bones shall arise and become a mighty army for the Lord. There are many other similar allusions in the Bible, but all go to show that there is some important significance attached to the figures on the Sphinx cross and some mystical potency to be obtained through understanding and correlating with these four signs, which will give us a firm foundation on which to erect the temple of our spiritual life. The sign Aquarius is the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Hence, we find the man dominating the cross. This is not the lower personal man, but the man who can dominate, indra, and transmute all the lower potencies. The man who must master the dual sign Scorpio, which in its lower aspect is a scorpion, an adder in the path that biteth the horse's heel, so that his rider shall fall backward. The lower aspect of the scorpion sex blunt man's understanding and make him fall backward, or make man, instead of being a rider who controls and directs his horse, thought, fall backward into the mirror and wallow under the horse's feet. The Aquarian man, however, must lift up this force until it becomes the eagle, which brings forth its young upon the mountaintop and soars into the very eye of the sun. He must also conquer his heart, the lion, and tame it, turning it from a raging beast that devours all into a docile and obedient servant. In other words, he must have the strength of a Samson to open its jaws, render it harmless, and find it in its carcass, the honey of wisdom. He must conquer the bull or ox, Taurus, that great and powerful force of an animal nature, which, if permitted to follow its own instincts, bellows, tears up this earth in a cloud of dust, and with its eyes closed, blindly charges even into its own destruction, anything it fears or cannot understand. Yet when this animal force is mastered and harnessed by man, it becomes powerful and patient to labor and bring forth. In fact, its tremendous force must be turned into channels through which it can be directed to express as the untiring labor and painstaking toil, without which the neophyte cannot overcome and obtain. Thus, through victory over the lower aspects of these animal signs, man must attain to the pinnacle of his development, because this highest attainment is necessary to become the man. Aquarius is often represented by an angel instead of a man, the angel Gabriel, who is associated with the disciple John. For the four gospels in their mystic symbology are but another representation of the fixed cross and zodiacal signs which mark its four corners. Astrologers tell us that Aquarius is an intellectual sign, the captain of the hosts. They say that it is ruled by Saturn and are apt to enumerate all its negative qualities, just as in the Dark Ages, man was described by his negative qualities as inherently evil, a worm of the dust, instead of as a son of God made in his image. Like all signs, Aquarius is divided into 3 decads of 10 degrees each. The first one being ruled by Saturn, the second by Mercury, and the third by Venus. But thus far, humanity has never been able to manifest more than the lower aspects of the first decan. In other words, this sign has largely been but a prophecy of that which would bring into manifestation when the new or Aquarian age dawned. In previous cycles, humanity was not sufficiently developed to respond and to express its forces. And even now, few persons born under the sign are able to manifest its higher aspects, for the solar system in this cycle has only just entered the Aquarian age. Sorry, guys. Hence, its vibrations are not registered in full, either upon the substance of the globe or in its humanity. In rare instances where a native of this sign approximates a balanced manifestation of the sign, he has brought the advancement over from incarnations in other great ages or from other planets which have passed through this important era and manifested its forces. From the above, it is easy to understand why this has been a mysterious sign and why humanity has never comprehended more than the outer significance of its first decan. Allison 1, Y0. Although I don't like, I send everything into the love and light and cross them over. Can't deal with that noise. But I won. Uranus is conceded to be the esoteric ruler of Aquarius, but in truth it is a ruler of rulers, and according to the secret doctrine, belongs to another system. From an occult standpoint, it is the mysterious forces consciously sent forth from Uranus, which determine the changes in the cycles of ruling of the planets of our system. For instance, in the individual life, one may be ruled for a longer period of time by the denser and more material aspects of the planets, but after a certain spiritual growth is attained, initiation, and because of it, it is decreed that he shall pass into a more ethereal zone where the higher mental, psychic, and spiritual aspects of the planets will then be the strongest influences felt. This is one reason why it is so difficult correctly to interpret the horoscope of an advanced student, both with the planet and with the individual. It is Uranus who decides when these changes or advanced steps shall be taken. But until this stage of spiritual growth is obtained, Uranus has very little effect because the individual cannot respond to the higher rate of vibration of its forces. Uranus is said to bring about sudden changes because it is not strongly aspected until the student is about ready for such steps. Since we are now standing on the threshold of this new age and its doors are swinging outward, like I've been saying, it is time that we understand something of its positive qualities and what the earth and mankind may expect to meet and gain from it during the next 2,000 years. Keyword. During this period, the human race must penetrate deeply into the mysteries of Aquarius, which are the mysteries of man. For a man has now grown up, became a man. Hence, to study Aquarius, we must study man. We must now take up in earnest that which our lips have so guiltily repeated. Man, know thyself. In step by step, we must prove and demonstrate to the world the knowledge thus gained. Just as Saturn during all the ages have been garnering the golden grain out of an individual's heart and teaching them through experience and unwisdom of disobeying the divine law of harmony, so is the first decan of Aquarius does Saturn take his place upon the throne of the world, and as the water of life is poured forth by the Son of Man, gathered in his harvest from both the planet and from mankind, it is who sees that the tares are burned into the fire unquenchable because necessary and inevitable, hence must not be quenched as long as tars infest the wheat. But he also sees to it that the wheat is carefully gathered into the granary of the king. Jesus has said of this conditions, quote, woe unto the world because of offenses. For it must needs be that offenses come, but woe to the man by whom the offense cometh, end quote. Or by whom the seed was planted, which bore the crop of tares. The first woe, which we are told is past, was the planting of the tares among the wheat. their growth and suffering incident to the experiences which their growth among the wheat brought about during the past centuries was the second woe, while the third woe is the karmic reaping the world has been undergoing at the close of the old cycle. Ever since the childhood of the race, man has been disobedient to his divine guidance, has been ambitious, selfish, and self-indulgent, cruel, and bloodthirsty. Yet in spite of this, civilization has steadily advanced in a psychic spiral fashion. This has been accomplished through the great law, constantly working with man in its sevenfold manner, always trying to inspire him with higher ideals, always utilizing for his learning. Through the law of karma, the suffering he brings upon himself, the law is enunciated in the Bible in the words, whatsoever a man sow, that shall he also reap. One jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled, inasmuch as we have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, yet have done it unto me. Through this law, which is divine justice, man is taught through actual experience that he cannot love God and hate his brother, that he cannot truly worship God while he oppresses even the least of the ignorant little ones who are his brethren in Christ. Without in some life, either now or in the future himself, suffering from injustice, hatred, and oppression until Saturn has gathered all the crop of unbrotherliness his heart has brought forth. The Bible tells us that when we see the sign of the Son of Man in the heavens, we may expect the end, not of the world, but of the old dispensation, the reign of the sign Pisces. And as the sign is now beginning to dominate or reign in the heavens, we naturally expect a new outpouring of the vital water of life to rain down upon humanity, which will be just as real as the rain of the meteors from their radiant in the constellation Aquarius. Just as the farmer waters his crops and the water exercises its life-giving power to bring forth whatsoever seeds are in the ground, so Aquarius, the cosmic water bearer, pours forth the divine water of life until the world, not for the purpose of bringing forth judgment and sorrow, woe and disaster, but like the rain which has falls alike upon the just and the unjust to fructify whatever seeds have been planted. And as it has been man who has planted the tares among the wheat during the first decan of this sign, Saturn, the great reaper and adjuster, must gather in the harvest and separates the tare from the wheat. Then during the second decan, under the rulership of Mercury, the messenger of mankind must be fructified, while during the third decan, under the rulership of Venus, the spark of divinity in each heart will be quickened through direct contact with divine love, and man will bring forth the true brotherhood and rule of his kingdom with the golden scepter of love. So, if we are to take this, again, I don't know necessarily if we entered the Aquarian age just yet, or we've been talking about it for decades, centuries here, but are we now in the first portion of it? Because here we come, the Reaper and the Adjuster is here, and we're starting to finally start the little bits of things happening in the world. It's coming back to its neutral point. Things are being adjusted. The wrongs are slowly coming to surface and being taken care of. Might not be in the public eye, but we see little hints and shreds of that happening now. Are we in the first stage? How long is that going to last? It's interesting. The planetary deities, the Elohim, who rule the signs and their decans, are not separate gods, as would seem at the first sight from St. Paul's words, as they be gods. There's another one. And my lords may, but the 7 aspects of the one God. Just as man be a real man, Aquarian must manifest all his 7 attributes. For this is the image of God into which he is growing. To us there is but one God, the Father, of whom all things, and we in him. For instance, the same man might have a deal with a business issue, where the cold scrutiny and stern justice of Saturn would be required, the power to know and separate good from evil. In other instances, he might have to manifest the wisdom and power to rule Jupiter. In another, the great intellectual Akum of Mercury. In another, the Persiflage. Never heard of that. And light laughter of the moon. In another, the enlightening power of the sun. In another, the comforting mother of Venus. And in the other, the stern warrior, the spirit of Mars, who fearlessly fights all evils and protects the weak. Yet through all these manifestations, it would be the one man expressing his various attributes. Sorry, guys. I know that's really funny. Okay, hang on. I'm glad I got a laugh. I hope you guys got a laugh from that. my funny outtakes, I'm not editing that out. That's too funny. It's that noise. I don't care that there's a fly in my house. I care if it procreates, because then there's a swarm. I don't need that. I will freak out. Yeah, I want it not here anymore. And I figured out why. I just checked the weather. There's an air quality alert. I have to put my air purifier on, and that's upstairs where I mostly am habitating most of the day. I do come down here, but it's upstairs. And regardless, fly killing in the Aquarian age, geez Louise, man should reach a point where he no longer acts like a mere child, swept hither and thither by the currents and eddies of the great law. For in this age, the majority of mankind will reach a point of intellectual and spiritual development, which today is reached only by a few, where they recognize their responsibility for the conditions from which mankind is suffering, and for the conditions of the planet and the lower kingdoms as well. They will grow into realization that each man is his brother's keeper, and that all, from the least to the greatest, are brothers, that no real happiness can come to any living soul if it has to be obtained at the expense, misery, and despair of his brothers. This lesson is now being learned as a result of the world's experience, but will be fully grasped by all as the Aquarian age enters into the second decan, in which man responds to the finer forces of Mercury instead of to its denser forces as present. Mercury is called a facilitating planet, and those who have it strongly ruling in their horoscopes are apt to be loquacious, to exaggerate, and may even be called liars, for they can soar into the higher realms of thought and relate experiences or concepts which to the average plotter seem but lies. This holds true because I have a ton of Mercury. I have Mars in my chart. I'm an Aries, Virgo rising, Gemini moon, Taurus is something. I'm like, there's barely any water in my chart. I'm all fire, air, and then earth. Bananas. I need my ground. I need another human ground. Being essentially the planet of reasoning and thought, Mercury is called the messenger of the gods, as it is through thought that will of God is made known to man. It is facilitating only as thought is facilitating until we have learned to control and direct it. Hence, as man enters the second decan of Aquarius and comes under the finer forces of Mercury, he will have a wonderful intellectual awakening, amounting almost to illumination. In fact, he will begin to open his third eye and blend intuition with understanding. And to this will be added during the third decan the divine love and spiritual will of Venus. For just as each zodiacal sign has its 3 decans, so the great Aquarian age will have its 3 lesser cycles during the great cycle of approximately 2,160 years. Now, I'm going to say this before we end here, and there's still a little bit more of the book to go. This, again, I'm reading this with you. I didn't read this beforehand like other books I've read already. I have not read this book. And I've been saying this for a long time, and now this is like a validation for me for that what I'm saying is more on the correctness. And again, it's up to you to resonate with that. That everybody wants things to happen. It needs to happen. This has to happen. And money, RV, Nasera, it has to happen, I don't even think if we are in literally, I'm not an astrologer. I would have to look at a chart to see if we entered into the Aquarian age. We weren't there a few years ago. And there's people that are saying we're on the cusp of entering it. So we might not be in it. But if we are in it, we're only in the first. And if they're correct on their assumption that it's 2,160 years, we have a long time to go. Consciously, most of us are probably in the second to third decan in the Aquarian age of consciousness. I would agree with that. But as in the zodiacal planet realm, reality matrix that we live in, it's not aligned just yet, or it just happened. And again, anybody who knows astrology that has those astrology sites, can you look to see if we just entered or are we in there now? Because I've heard and seen other astrologers show that we're on the cusp of entering the Aquarian age. We're not in it yet. So most of us are embracing all of this right now in stages, just like Ra was talking about the sub-octaves, sub-octaves, and the octaves of vibratory frequency. We all vibrate and frequent differently, but what they're saying is the same equation with the aspects of these planets. We give them aspects. Are you inhabiting the lower aspect or the higher aspect? If you're inhabiting the higher aspect of Mercury, let's per se, you're embracing everything that was written down. But are we there as a humanity yet? As a realm of consciousness? I'm not sure. It seems on the outside we are, but then that's only like 6% of the people that I can think of that are aware, awakened, and are instilling all of this in their daily lives. Back to the book. Today we see the spirit again moving upon the face of the troubled waters of humanity. The brooding of the spirit brings forth the son of man, or something that has been born from man, a child or offspring, a new consciousness, which is awakened and brought forth amid the birth pangs of anguish, which humanity has suffered during the past cycle and is still suffering so cruelly today as the new age is being born, when this new consciousness or son is so completely brought forth and manifested that it emanates from man is lifted up to the heavens. That is, when humanity has accomplished this new birth and the cry of its reaches the heavens, then shall appear the sign of Son of Man in heaven. The sun is the essence of the sign Aquarius, no longer merely overshadowing, but now brought forth in humanity, the manifestations of water of life, which shall make all things new. Do not confuse the Son of Man with the Son of God. For the Son of Man is the higher spiritualized realization which is born of man's inner experience, a newfound understanding, joy, and at-one-ment. The Christ is born in Capricorn, but as he grows and his influences humanity spreads, the Son of Man is brought forth in his image in Aquarius and reigns first as an essence in heaven, then in its embodiment in man on earth. But his reign on earth will only when men and women in sufficient numbers, with sufficient love, devotion, realization, and spiritual power, have united to form a nucleus of those whose spiritual consciousness can swipe away through the thought of humanity and through gradual assertion in numbers, leaving the rest of the race. And after the reaping, the golden grains have been gathered by the four winds from all the fields of earth, those who have come out of great tribulation and whose garments have been made white in the blood of the Lamb. They then might downpouring of the water of life will just as surely bring to fruition the seeds of man's divine nature as it already has the lower, those spiritual seeds of which St. Paul spoke. Sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, and it's raised in power. It is sown in a natural body, it is raised in a spiritual body. For the world, this new spiritual body will be the Aquarian age, and for each individual first, a new conception of love, light, power, and life. The actual unfolding of the Christ consciousness and manifestation of its powers in the life. But first there must come the realization that because Saturn must reap the tares we have sown, he is not to be thought of as evil, but as one of the sons of God who in divine love and compassion clears the ground that may bring forth this Christ seed and reap our spiritual harvest. And just as Saturn is an aspect of God, so is Mercury. He who takes our every aspiration Godward, our effort toward victory and every realization to the very throne of God, until through the intercession of these winged messengers, Venus or divine love enters and builds her nest in our heart and bring forth her young. As we thus become real Aquarians, we will at least realize that because we have loved much, much has been forgiven. Note, the birth of the Aquarian age on February 12th, 1912. Uranus returned to its ruling sign Aquarius for the first time in 84 years, and the sun by precession also entered it. The moon also entered the sign with the sun. Interesting. Again, why I'm weary about we're in the age already is only because in 2012, from my estimation and from my thinking and my research, we were taken out and put into a fail-safe. And we're coming back to this paradigm right now. So we're kind of like traveling back in time, like time-space, back to the original standings of where we were prior to 2012. So I'm not sure what day it is, what month it is, what year it is. If there is time at all, it's linear and it's here on this plane of existence. But that's only to give us a grounding of what we are. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This book so far, amazing. And we're only on chapter 2, and we're going to start 3. And chapter 3, I'll give you a little hint. Are these the last days? It's the last day for the damn fly in my house. I know, I mean, but I can't have more flies in my house. See? I swear. I find it really funny. I did get in before, but it wasn't filmed. Yes, so please, guys, I hope you liked my little blooper and going bananas with the electric tennis racket here, fly swatter. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. YouTube's playing again with my numbers. I'm not concerned about numbers, but with more people subscribed, more likes. And again, you guys, I'm referring to YouTube. It does count on Rumble as well, but not so much on BitChute. Because I'm in multiple places as backups. But if I don't have enough subscribers, the algorithm doesn't get my work out there. And the people that might need to see it, Spirit will definitely direct them to where they need to do. That's how I find a lot of different things on YouTube. Spirit directs me. But it's easier when people are participating in sharing or in liking and making comments. This way, more people are seeing the content. So when you open up the window, you open up Facebook and YouTube and that one and that one, the more people are interested and engaged in your work, the more people get to see it. I know I'm not anywhere near that. I'm not striving to. It's just a goal that I have because this is like go time. We're in a process of getting ready to being the teachers. So people who are watching me, you're very much in it to win it like I am. We're here to teach and spread the seeds. We're sprinkling seeds on people right now so that when it's divine timing for them, they get their epiphanies and they go, oh, I remember when so-and-so told me about that. We're the ones that people are going to come to. And it's already happening for a lot of people. And sometimes you don't have the articulation or the language to steer somebody in something. So you can send them to these videos. I send people to my JQ, We Not Me, all the time. People are curious about all kinds of topics. Go watch his stuff. It's amazing. He's teaching you. So is Jack. They're teaching you history. What's going on? They're decoding everything for us. And that's a lot. And it's not easy because I can sit there and try to like connect dots like Jason. I cannot do that. He asked me questions. And I'm like, I need more thinking time, my friend. What? And then he calculates all the stuff. I see his channeling. I'm like, dude, just tell me. I don't have that. I'm better in that, in my lane. So guys, this is the reason why I'm asking you to do it. It's just so that people could see the work. And people who are spiritually going to resonate with it. And for those who are needing a boost of confidence, we're here. It's like we're here. We're waiting for external things to start happening in our paradigm that we have to create it for ourselves. We can't just expect everything to be done for us. We have to walk in it. We have to walk and manifest because there's cause and effect. Sitting and doing nothing about it ain't gonna get you anywhere. I put a grounding short out today. I went outside and I took my voltmeter and I'm like, here, I'm showing you. Go outside. Yes, we don't want ticks and we don't want fleas on us and parasites, but find a place that you know in your garden or in your front yard, anywhere there's grass or even dirt, and put your feet in. Walk on the dirt. Stand. I touch my trees all the time and I talk to them. I know it sounds fucking batshit crazy, but I'm leaving my energy signature on them. You've got to walk the walk. Just not talk the talk. Go and meditate. I had a whole day yesterday. I went out. I put myself in my hot tub because my hot tub relaxes my body more than sitting on a cushion or laying on a beanbag. And then I zone into nature. I zone out. And I used to do that in my tub. If you have a tub, bathtub, I used to do that too. Bodies of water for me, when I anchor my energy in it, it's healing me. It's absorbing my energy, and it's so keep going. This is going to be an awesome book. I'm so excited to start it. And I hope that you guys are enjoying these amazing people. Augusta, Harriette Curtis, and Homer Curtis, Dr. Homer Curtis. Again, it's from a Christian mystic point of view, but it's still ridiculously on point. And their body of work is just epic. So, buy the book. I'm going to leave the site that I get my PDFs from. You have to go through them. They changed it from when I did the first book, the Keys of Destiny, or the Keys to the Universe. One of those, you were just able to get the PDF straight. Now you have to go through, and they're all their books. So I'm going to leave that that link there. If you're interested in doing the PDF, please support the people who are publishing these books if you are wanting to have them for yourself. Sending each and every one of you love, light, protection, and shielding. Have a great rest of your weekend. Please relax, chill out, walk your truth. Remember, everything has a cause and effect, so go in the neutral path of God's path, the infinite all, the prime creator's path, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Please have a safe and relaxing rest of your weekend, guys.